Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from Deltiasgaming.com, and I was one of the fortunate ones to play Starfield early. And in this video, I'm going to explain 10 tips you need to know. I will do my best to avoid any spoilers, but you want to watch this video for a much clearer idea on what to focus on when Starfield launches. Special thanks to Bethesda for giving me early access to Starfield and also sponsoring this video. It's a dream come true. If you want to purchase the game, and you should, it's amazing, use my bit.ly link in the description below. Starfield is available beginning September 1st on Xbox and PC for those who purchase the Starfield Premium Edition, and will be available for everyone else on September 6th. But enough about that. Let's talk about Starfield beginner tips and 10 things you need to know. Number 10 is up, and that's what to expect when you play Starfield. Starfield is a very big game with over 1,000 planets to explore, and it's the first new universe in 25 years from Bethesda Game Studios, the award-winning creators of the Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, and Fallout 4. Todd Howard said it would be like Skyrim in space, and I'm shocked at how similar the games are, and especially in the story and exploration. I've beaten the main story, and I've logged over 60 hours so far as of this recording. I spent most of my time questing and progressing the story to understand the game mechanics and what tips I could give new and beginning players. First tip is this: expect a massive amount of exploration. In fact, it's almost too much to take in at first glance, and the game does do a great job of ferrying you along to relevant points with quest markers and trackers. You can hit your L key on PC and bring up your mission log, and then ask the game to show it to you on map or travel there, which is very handy and saves a lot of times navigating this massive area. There's no max level in Starfield. The game's final quests are set around level 30, so expect that to be the target or higher for most players, but you can play well beyond the main story. This game is honestly meant to take you years to play, not a month. But I recommend and found very helpful the second time I started playing is exploring the first system, Alpha Centauri. The map has 3 little dots on spots that contain something relevant. This could be a planet, a moon, space station, and so on. Most of the time, these are things worth checking out, and developers loaded the first system with tons of hidden gems and amazing quests to discover. Enjoy the start of the game and story, but really the best part of Starfield is just like Skyrim, getting curious and just following a random questline and seeing where it leads. Next up is number 9, background and traits, and something that ties into character creator. In Starfield, you should first consider how you want to play, what type of character are you aiming for, and what path do you want to take. When you start the game, you're going to be transported to the character creator menu after a little bit of gameplay, and it has your typical complex appearance selections, and there are 21 different backgrounds and 16 different traits to choose from. Players can choose one background and up to 3 traits. Traits are optional and do not have to be selected. Consider backgrounds a starting class and something that you have to actually pick. It comes with 3 starting skills along with personality to kind of help you drill down in your preferred playstyle. Your background and/or traits, if you selected any, also affect dialogue and have interesting choices in conversation. The main tip I want to give you when you're looking at character creator beyond just your appearance and looking at background and traits is this: Starfield doesn't have a max level. You can essentially play indefinitely and level up, well, indefinitely, and eventually get all the skills if you play long enough. While your background is important to get 3 skills starting out, what's most important in my opinion is your background selection fits your individual story narrative. You don't want to pick a diplomat background, then go in guns blazing every time there's a dialogue option. Starfield is a story-based game, and the reactions from your characters and/or traits, backgrounds are priceless and outweigh the benefits of 3 starting skills. Me, I was in the US Army. I picked a soldier. It was a perfect fit for me and had tons of dialogue options and interesting quests and story elements that made me feel like I connected with my character. It's much more important than worrying about the skills, trust me. Next up is number 8, exploring in story. Starfield's story is set to take place in the year 2330, a distant but still imaginable future where humanity has developed settlements on other planets. 20 years prior to the start of the story, the United Colonies went to war with their primary rival for power, the Freestar Collective. Although the colony wars are now at an end, the peace between these two factions is an uneasy one. Additionally, the pirates of the Crimson Fleet are aggressively expanding their foothold into the system where they have never been seen before. And this is kind of the three factions that you're going to encounter. The game's story centers around a group of explorers called Constellation, who recruit you into their organization. From there, you're going to be hunting the galaxy for artifacts with a mysterious outcome. Much of this I'm leaving vague intentionally, but early in the game you get access to something called the Lodge, which is the location of the Constellation group on New Atlantis. The basement is useful for storage and crafting because this area has all the crafting stations. It's a great starter area to dump all of your resource in a nearby storage crate in the basement and pick up only when you need to research or craft something. Later on, you're going to eventually want to move your crafting out to an outpost, which we'll touch on a bit later. But for starters, consider this your early game home, something to go to when you need to craft and experiment. I also wish I would have known that in order to advance the main story, at some point you need 21 light-year distant jump on your spaceship. You can increase your gravity jump distance with upgrades on your ship, but also the astrodynamic science skill. I didn't consider this starting and spent no time researching upgrading my ship or taking the skills, but found it invaluable for the main story and just quality of life gameplay since exploration is essential and this makes roaming the galaxy effortless. So just realize there may be a barrier to you completing the main story if you don't have further light year jump capacity. Moving on to number 7, that's Starfield's combat. Starfield's combat feels much faster and snappier than Fallout 4, another Bethesda title I love. In this game you'll have high mobility with boost pack along with typical weapons, throwables like grenades, aid, like med packs and so on. Your character will have weapons, 3 types of armor, suits, packs, helmets, and even apparel which offers small bonuses. You'll also be able to use one companion or crew in combat, and there's an important decision to make. Are you a lone wolf like me in real life, or are you a social companion butterfly? For companions, simply recruit them into your party and give them weapons and armor. You need to have them equip it, and even without ammunition, they will fire weapons. I always give my companion a heavy weapon with some super expensive ammunition or flashy animation because it's satisfying to watch them destroy everything. They also have carrying capacity, so it's equally nice to bring them to a fight just to load up on extra material after you get done with a mission. In the social skill line, Isolation gives you the Lone Wolf perk, or playing solo will increase your damage and damage reduction. Leadership in that same skill line boosts companions' power, in addition helps with carrying capacity, which is nice. I also found it easiest to use companions because of the carrying capacity, and also so I don't get lonely. You will also see powers in my user interface, but I don't want to ruin that for you in this video. The game will allow you to quick slot things that can be accessed very quickly and, well, you guessed it, combat. I found it very helpful to have 3 guns plus a cutter. So what I did is I loaded up my weapons with a short range like a shotgun, a medium, a long range, and if you have the carrying capacity, what we call heavy weapons for boss fights. Then I use med packs for healing along with 3 aid consumables for damage increase, higher movement speed, or damage reduction. Then powers, which I'll have guides on my website, Deltiasgaming.com. Of course, there's going to be links in the description, along with my bit.ly link, and you should buy Starfield, that's a plug. Skills is up next. Starfield skill system includes multiple skills spread between 5 categories: physical, social, combat, science, and tech, which we've talked about some already. Skills from every category will upgrade, customize, and enhance your Starfield character's play style. Levels in Starfield will basically be your progression. Each time you complete a quest, kill an enemy, or discover some uncharted planet, you'll receive experience points, which you're familiar with. You gather enough experience points, you earn a level, and you get a skill point to spend. A quick tip to boost XP is sleeping in your ship's bed or another secured structure in Starfield. You get an experience boost of 10% extra XP for a limited amount of time. This is very helpful if you're going to do something that's going to earn you a lot of XP, like a big quest chain turnip. Your background will give you 3 skills by default, and I highly recommend unlocking 2 skills per skill line you plan on investing into. Combat, science, and tech are by far my favorites due to their application in literally every single build, especially combat and crafting. My favorite skill by far is boost pack training. This allows you to zoom around combat and non-combat situations and speed up movement dramatically, and it's also extremely easy to level. Speaking of leveling skill lines, after you unlock a skill, you can rank it up by doing various tasks. For boost pack, simply use boost pack while in combat and you can progress the skill. Once you finish your progression, you can rank up the skill line at the cost of another skill point, up to 4 ranks. The key is that these do cost a skill point. In my opinion, it's better to be tactical, taking 2 skills at the start and focusing on key parts of your build rather than spreading them out and just taking 1 point here, 1 point there and being willy-nilly with it. Another factor to consider is that you need at least 4 skill points in the previous level to reach another level, meaning in order to take the second line of skills, you need at least 4 skill points spent. This could be 4 skills all at rank 1 or 1 skill like boost pack training at rank 4. The easiest, most practical, and logical approach is to take 2 skills and try to level them up to rank 2 each. That's a lot easier than trying to rank up 1 to 4 to get to the second level of skill line progression. Here's some I recommend. For the physical skill tree, stealth and wellness. Social, persuasion and commerce. Combat, ballistics and laser. Science, astrodynamics and medicine. Tech, boost pack training and security. These are my favorite and I recommend them for all builds. Before moving on, the science tree is critical for crafting, specifically research. You need to spend 4 points in order to move down the tree and grab spacesuit design and weapon engineering. If you do not do this, your weapons and armor will be very limited. I found this out when I was level 20 and bypassed the skill line entirely and was super frustrated when my weapons did not reach their max potential. Do not do what I did. Spend some points in this early on, level up that science skill line even if you don't like the skill line to get spacesuit design and weapon engineering. At least it'll make a huge difference later in the game. Number 5 is persuasion. And dialogue and speech checks are a bit different and more complex than previous titles. From the image shown here, you can see a variety of mechanics. When you enter a speech check, you will have a persuasion bar, turns, and the number associated with the dialogue options. These will include your background traits and faction you may or may not align with. The number correlates with the gray bars, so if you have 4 gray bars, you can hit the +4 on the dialogue. Dialogues can also fail and critically succeed. What I found most helpful when it comes to these options is trying to use all my turns. You want to hit the sweet spot where you end your final turn with all the gray bars filled. I also found it helpful to do sometimes in the green or yellow on the typical responses. The more aggressive, like red, the more likely the conversation can go sideways and outright fail. This system will take you some time to get used to, but introduces some randomness and excitement rather than the standard click persuasion and win. Also consider taking the persuasion and intimidation skills from the social skill tree, which help with these options. You will encounter a scenario on Aquila City, which will test your negotiation skills very early in the game. So save beforehand and experiment with this system to get a knowledge base and understanding. Oh wait, there's one more tip. There are consumables that drastically increase your chance to persuade. This one shown here gives you a whopping 25% in persuasion chance increase for 10 minutes, so use everything at your disposal. Next up is number 4, Outpost. And outposts are similar to Fallout 4 settlements. They serve as your home and main storage area and can even be attacked. Outposts take a lot of resources and time in game to fully optimize, but it's well worth it, trust me. Throughout the game you will collect resources, which are essentially minerals, materials, and other apparent junk that you want to store within your ship's storage, and eventually your outpost storage. Here's a good picture that shows you the loot, but the text below indicates its resource, which are essential to many mechanics in the game like building up your outpost. What's mind-blowing about outposts is that you can set them almost anywhere on worlds or moons. At first you'll be limited with these buildings, but the planetary habitation skill allows you to increase your outpost buildings and the conditions where you build. You literally can just kind of scroll on the planet, click, and boom. As long as it's not water water, or it's a hospitable, you can put an outpost there. You can literally walk around the planet. And I know Todd Howard and the Bethesda folks said it before the game launched, but to actually play it, you're kind of mind blown. There's that much material in the game. And the outpost, it's just awesome when you can set it where you want on basically almost any planet. And I found it extremely helpful to build a settlement outside of New Atlantis when you're trying to optimally play for the first time. You're going to be constantly traveling to New Atlantis and Alpha Centauri system because this is where the main focal point of the quest is. And what's nice is you can haul all those materials from the lodge to your spaceship, quickly touch down in your outpost, dump them in your storage, and then have a really huge crafting hub center. So here's a couple of other tips. One is build a ship landing pad near your crafting station. This will save you a lot of time and craft the landing pad with ship builder if possible. Number 2, you want to craft a self-service bounty clearance. In this game, there's what's called contraband, which you can obtain and sell at seedy vendors. That's another video entirely, but just realize it's a pain to clear this manually without this object. It's very easy to craft, and I would highly recommend it. It'll save you some pain trying to Google how to get this done. Third, I highly, and I mean highly recommend building a transfer container unit. This will allow you to transfer ship cargo to your storage containers. Your cargo storage will fill out very fast once you start crafting and collecting resources, and this saves you loads of time. Fourth, get the cargo link or cargo link inter-system. If you plan on doing multiple outposts, and you will, and if you haven't got my drift yet, storage and resources are a lot of the gameplay to expand on your crafting research, which ultimately make you more powerful. These things will help you enjoy the game dramatically rather than shuffling around material. Fifth, I swear I'm almost done with this tip. It's about 1,000 alone on this one. You must have a research lab set up, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Moving on to Starships. Starships, spaceships, I don't know what they're called, but there's 2 great names for them, and we're going to talk about them. One's going to be given to you in the main quest. You can also purchase them and or commandeer them, which is also really cool. It's something you want to focus on because the main story progression, specifically exploring, is limited by how many light years you can jump. Also, if you skipped ahead in the timestamps to this area, you do have storage on your starship, spaceship, whatever you want to call it, and it's very, very handy. You can actually increase this depending on the ship you get. They're at various different locations depending on the ship. Ships cost credit to buy and upgrade, and it can be very expensive. Each ship has gravity and fuel range, as well as reactors and all sorts of other features. You power the system manually by moving over to the various sections and going up and down. So 3 weapons if equipped: engine, shield, and gravity. Sometimes your grav drive will be powered down, and this is usually the first thing you want to do is max out the power with your reactor. So you can turn down like systems like your missile if you're not in an active fight, and ramp up your grav. You also want to have your shields up pretty much at all times. So use that bar, the reactor bar at the bottom, the little bars if they're not being used, to fill up other systems. Take down other ones and it makes the gameplay a lot more interactive, especially when dynamic fighting happens. The priority early in the game is to upgrade your shields, then your reactor, then your grav drive. Once you get more credits, then you start optimizing your weapon systems to have multiple weapon types, or 1 or 2 weapons for lowering the shield and another one like missiles for damaging the hull. You will start experiencing a lot more space combat later in the game as things progress, and it's pretty wild what happens. The tech tree is saturated with skills to level up spaceships. If you plan on doing bounty hunting, you should select Target and Control System, which allows you to target specific systems like from your favorite sci-fi movie. You can then board, capture or kill the crew, and take their ship. The first time I did this, I totally freaked out because I thought my previous ship was lost, and no, it's not. Somehow it returns to the spaceport, and you can land and register your new ship and add it to your collection. You can then swap your home ship to whatever you want. And you want to make sure there's no contraband on the ship because United Colonies Fleet will scan you, sound the alarm, and attack you if you have a bunch of contraband and now you're some pirate villain. Lastly, if you get panicky when jumping to a new system, and this will happen to me and I got blown up. A lot of times when you go to uncharted systems or new systems, there's going to be something interesting, I'll leave it at that happens to you. And you're not going to be prepared. And sometimes you find your grav drive being powered down as soon as you get there. Just make sure you know you can actually grav drive and just leave the situation if you're overwhelmed, panicky, and you aren't prepared for a fight. Simply power down your weapons, ramp up that grav drive, and ramp up the shields, hit the map, and then beam out to the nearest system that's not under attack. That'll save you a couple deaths at least, and that's worth a thumbs up if you like this video. But we're not done. Moving on to number 2, research. After you've gotten your outpost set up and your resource swapped to your outpost, it's time to start researching. Research comes in 5 categories: pharmacological, food and drink, outpost development, equipment, and weaponry. You can assume each of these categories has a corresponding skill that needs to be unlocked and progress in order to advance your research knowledge. You will have some default things to unlock, some base things. Pretty quickly you'll max that out and need to advance via skills. To research something, you simply need the material and the required skill. Input the material, which consumes them from your inventory or storage until all conditions are met, and learn that specific research. The first time I played, I honestly didn't focus on research at all. I thought I was going to be a hero, just go kill everything and use the default weapons. I hit level 20 with 0 skill points into weapon engineering and spacesuit design, and my gameplay was miserable. My weapon's power quickly faded. I was left with random weapons that couldn't upgrade and modify. And as you can see, there are many systems that tie in together to make this happen. And so I had to double back and do all of this and spend a lot of time instead of doing it the right way. And this is a nutshell of kind of how research works. Number 1, learn the skill early, even if you don't want to advance science tree much. Number 2, build an outpost and unlock the research station. Number 3, haul resources en masse to your storage and link spaceship with outposts. Number 4, rank up your crafting skills of your choice. Weapons and spacesuits are never a bad option. And then number 5, start researching and unlocking upgrades. Once the research is complete, you're then allowed to modify an item. Weapon mods are so important because you can take an old beaten up, seemingly useless weapon from early in the game and turn it into a dream gun with armor-piercing rounds, long barrel for range, and huge damage coming from high-powered internal components, which nearly doubles your damage. Another pro tip is, yes, there's a consumable that helps with reduced costs on research. Neurojack specifically lowers research costs and a plus 50% chance of sudden research development for 10 minutes. So save up a bunch of materials and a bunch of research projects, consume this, and just go on a spree of research. Last tip up, about 500, even though the title says 10. I know, we gotta do the YouTube title. Number 1 is making credits. Again, I screwed up the first time I played. I beat Starfield, started over with a new game plus. Now, don't make that mistake. This is what you do. First, you're going to loot everything at the start of the game and bring a companion along with over 100 mass or weight of storage. Look for low mass items that sell for high credits, which are typically weapons or spacesuits, weigh a ton, so be careful if the credits listed are low. Ammo does not cost anything, so you'll want to keep the ammo that you're going to use, but you can sell it for really high yields, and it doesn't weigh anything. After each mission or encounter, you're going to want to bring your companion full of loot to sell. Most likely you're going to be constantly encumbered, meaning over the weight capacity or mass capacity that you have. This will cause your O2 to deplete and build up your CO2, which will cause damage while you move. All you gotta do is simply stand still for a while before continuing, and you will not be able to fast travel. You can use jetpack boost to mitigate some of this O2 loss by boosting around versus sprinting and draining your O2. You will quickly find vendors with low credits, around 5k at the start of the game, and selling 5 weapons can easily give you that number of credits. So there's a really good workaround. You want to buy any resources you're gonna need, like nickel, adhesive, which is the main one, adhesive, iron, titanium, which are all great for research early and later in the game, and then sell to the vendor until they're out of credits, and then rinse and repeat. Buy more resources, sell more. Buy more resources, sell more. In general, vendors will only be able to buy from you what they sell. So if you want to make sure to sell your weapons to a weapon vendor, not a general trader. The general trader will sell you a bunch of everything: armor, weapons, aid, throwables, and so on. So what you want to do is those 20 Maelstrom guns you're going to collect from wiping out a pirate gang, sell those to the weapon vendor, and then the general trader will take everything else like your armor, ammo, you name it. Talked about ammo a little bit. Typically I carry about 3 or 4 guns on me, and I'd offload some of that ammo if you don't plan on using it or don't recognize the name. So I like to carry the cutter on me, which is more for story, surveying, exploration. I do 1 short range weapon like a shotgun, 1 medium range weapon like an AA-99, and a long range weapon like hard target. Then you're gonna have a ton of credits to use for resources, mainly at the start of the game, and then later as you progress into spaceships. Then you level up your research and mods following followed by leveling up your ship last. In summary, this is kind of how you make credits, since I kind of rambled for about 3 minutes. Do combat-based activities, like finding a miscellaneous weapon factory vacant on a random planet, aka pirates are there. Clear out the bad guys and loot everything. If you can walk back to your ship, do so encumbered, filled with weapons, armor, and supplies and ammo. Go to 3 introductory planets with tons of vendors: New Atlantis, Aquila City, and Neon. Sell armor to the general merchants, weapon to the weapons vendor, and so on. Buy back resources and offload all of your materials. Return to your ship and store as much as possible in storage containers. Then return to Outpost. Build more storage, store resource, and continue to research and mod weapons. Once mods are unlocked, research is done, start upgrading your ship for endgame content, and oh boy is it fun. I think this video should be retitled 1,000 Planets to Explore, 1,000 Tips Giving, not to brag. Bad joke, but I hope you got something out of this video. Starfield is a massive game with tons of new systems for players to explore. It took me a very long time to finally understand them all and kind of how they work together. So if you got something out of this video and to save you time, please do me a big favor and hit that thumbs up. If you're interested in buying Starfield, and I think you should be, please check the link in the description below for my bit.ly link. It does support my channel. I'm honored and privileged that Bethesda chose to give early access to me. This game is a gem. I've been looking for it for years, and it does not disappoint. Ignite your curiosity, explore the stars, and enjoy Starfield for years to come. Thanks for watching.